Hey, everyone. What is going on? Lauren Sisler here with AL.com. Welcome into our Week 8 SEC Insider, brought to you by our awesome sponsors, All South Appliance. And today I'm hanging out here in the beautiful showroom off of Lakeshore Parkway. Hey, you need some new appliances or an upgrade? They have got you covered. All right, so joining me now to talk Auburn football. And yes, we're going to talk a little Auburn basketball as well. My buddy Tom Green, what's going on, man? How are you? How'd you enjoy the bye week?
It was good. Got to take a couple days off, which don't really get to do much in the fall. So that was nice to just relax and just not have to worry about anything for a couple days.
Yeah, right, exactly. And kind of knowing we're in for the long haul, considering the season obviously extends beyond just the Iron Bowl. We have another game after that, of course, and then we'll be cruising right to the SEC championship game and onwards and upwards to bowl season. So certainly still a lot of football left to be played. Looking forward to it. So Auburn coming off a bye week. Prior to that, getting a big win over LSU at home in Jordan-Hare Stadium. Now they head on the road to take on Mississippi State. Just wanted to get your overall assessment, analysis of what this game looks like. What are some challenges that Mississippi State poses? And where do you think Auburn has really turned the page and kind of has I guess, a leg up going into this matchup against a Mississippi State team that hasn't really been able to do a whole lot since obviously knocking off LSU early in the season?
Right. I mean, I think obviously the biggest challenge for any team playing Mississippi State is just having to prepare for that air raid attack. They're the only team in the SEC that runs that, so it's obviously not something that you're kind of used to seeing compared to like some of these other spread offenses that have really kind of popped up throughout the SEC in recent years. But the good thing for Auburn, it did have that bye week just before this game, so it's had some extra time to prepare for that air raid, which I think is really beneficial for them, just because, again, it's not an offense that you see every day. It takes some adjusting to know what to do. But again, like you said, this is a Mississippi State offense that hasn't really done much since that LSU game. This past weekend was the first time they scored more than 14 points since that LSU game. So, I think it's going to be a challenge preparing for that offense. But, this is a matchup that Auburn's defense, which has, really done well against these, high-powered passing offenses. I think they're just really well equipped to handle it this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And just kind of looking at the landscape of things, of course, Auburn kicking off against Mississippi State at 3 o'clock on SEC Network Saturday. Best case scenario for Auburn. All right, 6 games in, 4 to go here in the regular season. So Auburn has this Mississippi State game, obviously on the books, and then if you kind of project, obviously Iron Bowl comes up the week of Thanksgiving, and then they host Texas A&M as well. So certainly the road ahead is not going to be an easy one for the Auburn Tigers. But what is the best case scenario right now for Auburn moving forward? If there is a chance or a hope at them contending for an SEC championship, SEC title. I feel like there's a lot of weird things happening this year in football, so nothing at this point would shock me.
Oh no, certainly. Like Auburn is still, technically viable for that SEC West title. It's going to have to really win out, and it's going to have to beat Alabama. It's going to have to beat Texas A&M. I'm not sure anybody's going to beat Alabama. Certainly not in the regular season this year. They kind of look just a cut above the rest of the league right now. And certainly one of the best teams in the country. So I think realistically, the best case scenario for Auburn to close out this season is going to be 3-1. I think they should beat Mississippi State. They should beat a struggling Tennessee team. And Texas A&M, I think they have a really good chance to beat them at home. It really just depends, how the Iron Bowl shakes out if they come out of that game healthy. I think they have a chance to beat Texas A&M and finish this regular season 7-3, which 3 losses, okay. That one against South Carolina, probably a game you should not have lost. But, when you kind of extrapolate it to look at a regular, normal season when Auburn would have had, 2 filler games, really, that's a 9-win season, potentially would have beat, a team like North Carolina opening the season. That's 10 wins, but you would have taken away an SEC game, which, you're still looking at a 9 or 10 win season if you're looking at it in a normal sense. So I think that's a strong season for Auburn, especially when you consider that this was never really a season where people really expected them to contend. This was kind of that rebuilding year, looking towards next year, especially after everything that they lost on defense from last year, and just rebuilding that offensive line and that backfield. So, I think if Auburn can finish 3-1 down the stretch here, fans should feel really good going into 2021.
All right, Tom, let me ask you real quick before we get to basketball. Based on sort of what you've seen these last several weeks, obviously from this Auburn team, and it's been a bit of a roller coaster, obviously, some concerns, especially on the offensive side of the football, early on the road especially, but just, some things going on with Bo Nix, some of the chemistry that we saw. Is there one thing that maybe surprises you, like a pleasant surprise that it has come from this Auburn team, as you kind of mentioned, it being the rebuilding years, or something that kind of stands out to you that you're like, man, this is really good, and this can really carry some weight heading into, next season as well?
Well, certainly I think any progress you make with that rebuilt offensive line is, great heading into next year. But certainly the biggest surprise I think anybody's really seen is just Tank Bigsby's emergence. I mean, everybody knew that, he had the talent. He had probably a really high ceiling, but I don't think anybody expected him to be this good this quickly. And, he's really just emerged as one of the best running backs in the SEC. He's tough. He fights for yardage. Very rarely do you see the first defender or a single defender take him down. That's something really to build off of. And I think with his emergence, that has really kind of helped Auburn figure out its offensive identity. They want to throw the ball more with Chad Morris, but under Gus Malzahn, they've always been more of a run-first, run-heavy team. And I think finding that balance between the two is really the key to this team moving forward. And really, since you've seen that run game get established a little bit more, 4 straight games with over 200 yards, we've seen Bo Nix get a little bit more comfortable as they kind of take a little bit off his plate, don't ask him to do as much like they did in that South Carolina game where he threw 47 passes. That's just not the recipe for this team to be successful.
All right, good stuff, Tom. And, hitting the fast forward button just a little bit here, the basketball season tipping off here in the next couple of weeks. Auburn tipping off their first game, I think the 26th of December. Is that right? What I saw? Yeah, the 26th of December. Auburn get December. Yes, November. November 26th. That was fast forwarding a little bit too far in advance. 2020 basketball season tipping off. Just your overall thoughts when you look at this basketball team that Bruce Pearl brings back. What are some things that you like about the team and the projections that you have for them and their success for the season?
Well, and this is a team that you're losing your top 6 players from last year, 5 starters plus Anthony McLemore, who kind of rotated in and out of the starting lineup. You're losing a lottery pick in Isaac Okoro. So it's a team that probably going to be picked in the middle of the SEC. That's kind of what Bruce Pearl's expectations were. I mean, the AP Top 25 just came out today. Auburn was unranked in that, which shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. This is a really young team, but it should be a really fun team to watch kind of grow and develop and kind of find its identity. There's a lot of talent there. Obviously, Sharif Cooper comes in as the highest rated signee in program history. A real talented point guard who has scoring ability and a good sense of being able to dish when he gets into the paint. So just kind of building that team around him. But there's some returning pieces that I think, really have an opportunity to take that next step. And I think this could be a really fun team to watch. They're going to shoot a lot of threes. That's what Bruce Pearl does. But just the length that this team has, I think they have a chance to be a little bit more disruptive defensively, which could make them a really fast-paced team if they can force some turnovers and create some havoc there. Certainly, I think this team should make the NCAA tournament again. Bruce Pearl's just built a really good, consistent program here. It's just a matter of kind of comparing where this team is to start the season to where they are at the end of the season. I think there's going to be some growing pains, but there's definitely a lot of potential on this roster.
All right, good stuff, Tom Green. We appreciate you as always. And will you be making the trip to Starkvegas this upcoming weekend?
No, I will not be there this week, and I'll be covering the game from home. We'll be sending Gianna. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, I will make sure I say hello to Gianna. I've got the game on SEC Network. Looking forward to that. 3:00 kickoff, Auburn, Mississippi State. Looking forward to some basketball as well. Tom, we appreciate you. And we appreciate our sponsors, All South Appliance, proud sponsor of SEC Insider, inviting you to visit us online at myallsouth.com or to any one of our showrooms across Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida. And hey, check it out. Buy a grill, get a gift. Nothing wrong with that, folks.